Okay. Hey, this is Batman.
And this is Robin, and today we will be discussing our physics project.
Out of a recreational basket bike, a BMX bike, and a mountain bike, which one jumped the farthest?
Our hypothesis was that we both assumed that the mountain bike would go the farthest because it comes equipped with shocks and it's also intended to go off jumps. So we took this hypothesis and questioning and decided to take those three bikes, a mountain bike, BMX bike, and a basket bike, and go off a jump on a hill. So we set the jump, which was 169.5 pounds, 40 inches in length, and 12.45 inches in height, as you can see on the screen, 136.5 feet away from where I was starting on the bike.
Different variables were the length of the bike from front wheel to back wheel, the diameter of each wheel, and then the wheel thickness, and then the weight of the bike. Our constant variables were the starting point as well as ramp height, ramp weight, ramp position, camera distance away from ramp, Kyle's weight, and him not pedaling.
So this was our mountain bike trial, and this was the bike that we hypothesized to go the farthest out of the three.
Yay!
As you can see from the trial, I jumped a total of 69.39 inches, and you could see this from the frame of when I left the jump until my back tire hit the ground. So that is from this frame all the way into this frame. And of course, our unit scale is the ramp length, which was 40 inches. So we told the software, of course, that was our scale, and so everything is in inches per second. So with that, the inches per second kind of fluctuates my velocity throughout the jump pretty rapidly. So at the beginning of the jump, I was going about 370.25 inches per second. Of course, it's negative because I'm going downhill. And so as I progress throughout the jump, I, of course, go uphill, and my velocity slows down because of the incline. So as I go off the jump here, my velocity actually stays pretty constant, around 270, 250, around that area. And so come back down, my velocity, of course, increases as I'm falling, and no longer going up in the air, but going down. And so as I land, my velocity resumes its around 300 or 260 in this case, my bad. So this was our recreational basket bike, and I believe that out of all three bikes, this bike had the skinniest of all the tires. And so you can see from this trial that I actually jumped a total of 82.24 inches, and we believe that because of how thin the tires are, that resulted in me jumping farther than perhaps the mountain bike. And so, as you can see from this graph here, that my velocity stayed pretty constant around 285 inches per second, and I actually accelerated because of going downhill, and reach about 350 inches per second as I hit the ramp. So as I was going off the ramp, my velocity, of course, decreased because of the incline. And as I got in the air, of course, stayed constant, and eventually started increasing again as I started to land and I was just going down in the air. So as I landed, of course, my velocity increased, and this was relatively the same as the mountain bike. However, the velocities were a little bit faster, and I think this was because of the tire size and its relative weight compared to the mountain bike. Those two weights were pretty similar. So overall, this bike jumped farther than the mountain bike because of the tire size and frame length as well as weight. So this was our BMX bike trial, and this bike weighed the heaviest out of all the three. It also had the smallest length, however, but it did have the widest tires, which means that would increase its friction and it would also increase its weight. So that also factored into the speed and velocity this had. So as you can see from this trial here, the bike actually did not jump as far as the other two did, whereas the other two were around 70 and 80, and this jumped only 53.46 inches. We believe that the result of this was because of the weight, and how thick the tires were. So so as you can see here, my velocity started off at around 315, kind of the same as the other bikes, and it increased until I started going off the ramp here, of course, the incline, and it slowed down and leveled off once I got off the ramp around 230 to 20, and once I got off the ramp and I started decreasing in the air and falling, my velocity started to increase again and got back up to 320, 315. So my velocity compared at the initial and at the peak of the jump as well as landing was significantly slower than the other two bikes, and this of course was because of weight. And once I get off the jump, the way the bike wanted to drag me down. So overall, this bike jumped the least amount of distance out of the three.
So if you have a constant velocity and you have three different bikes, our bet is that the recreational bike will win because of the tire size. And we both found out that from velocities, smaller tire width was really the biggest variable that affected velocity. If you look at the data, the recreational bike obviously was the fastest out of the three, and we also concluded that speed also is a huge factor